Hello everyone, this is Modeling with Variety, and today I'm here to thank you for 1,000 subs, and I'm also here to answer some of your questions that you left in the previous video. So, let's just jump right into it. So, first is Ragen Z. Do you think Daban will make an MG Kshatriya in the near future? By the looks of things, I could really see it happening, but that doesn't really mean that it's bound to happen. The thing is, Daban has been releasing stuff based on things, like the Yaged Doga having the frame of the Gira Doga, the Red Zeta remix, the V2 Assault Buster, and the Amatsuhana metal build. So having a totally from the ground up, a total plastic MG Kshatriya would be unlikely in my opinion. But I would love to be wrong on this so that we have a 1:100 scaled Kshatriya, which as far as I know Steel Legend already has. But I don't know if that third party thing is a model kit or a metal build tier thing. Or metal robot Damashi. Next up is Carlo. Do you think you can roleplay with your Gundams and voice act them with your lovely voice? Okay, first off, thanks for complimenting my voice. And second, I don't think so. Because as much as I love stop motion skits or roleplay with toys and plastic models back then, heck, until now, I don't think I could do those. Lots more time, effort, and patience is needed for those, and I don't think I have any of those regarding that medium of expression. Though I could collab if anyone would want me to. Next is Mecha Burst. Bandai and Takara Tomy just collab. They just did a Tomica replica of the white base. But what else do you want to see them make? To be honest, I would want Bandai to just make Zoids, unmotorized ones, like the HMM line by Kotobukiya. Not the big metal one Bandai unveiled, but plastic models like the HMM line. The reason being that I just want Zoids to be accessible to more people, since a lot of them are being priced out by Kotobukiya and the scalpers eating their stock. I know that it wasn't your question, but I saw the collab and I just really wanted Bandai to just have the Zoids license, just like what they did with SRW. Is it kind of a monopoly if that happens? Kinda, but it just seems that they're the only one that could supply us with enough stock to make these scalpers bleed. And as for your question, maybe Gundam themed cars? I could see those happening, I guess. Probably look good. Would probably look good too. And after that, we have Pandora. Do you have any other hobbies? And what made you main pla modeling? Like things I'm really into? Well, is watching YouTube even a hobby? But I guess I could say that I'm still gaming even though I'm at a point in life where people just don't game anymore. What games do I play? Well, not hardcore games. I play some Fall Guys regularly because I want that Amogus skin when I get the battle pass and I just enjoy the brain off environment Fall Guys provides for me. I also play some Genshin Impact regularly, but it's kinda boring recently because all I do is just grind and grind for artifacts to get that perfect one. Anyway, what made me main pla modeling? Well, unlike those two games I mentioned, pla modeling actually has an output and not just some digital achievement. Like, if the internet goes down, and I know what that feels all too damn well, the plamo that you have is still existing IRL. So, in plamo, you have a tangible end goal where you could actually see your progress, and the more you do it, you just get better and better. I just love that part when you see your model coming together, and sometimes you just admire it for hours or even weeks because sometimes the model just looks cool at that point. and maybe even consider it to be done because of how cool it looks. That part is just magical for me, and actually, that's one of the parts of pla modeling that I really love. Lastly, with the comments on the previous video, we have Robbie. What was your first ever pla model? Which singular model can you suggest to beginners such as myself? Ah, yes, okay. My first ever model, as far as I know, was the Shenlong Gundam no grade back then, but I didn't build it, so I don't consider it as my actual first. So my actual first built model kit was my SD00 Quanta. I still have it with me, and the story of that was I got a gift card from my aunt and I had to spend it on this specific toy store. I looked around and there was this SD00 Quanta, which on that time was super new. And my brother at the time was just starting out in the hobby, so yep, it was the perfect time for me, and the rest is basically history. And what model would I suggest to beginners? Well, in my opinion, the model kit that for you looks the best is the model kit I would like you to get. Since if you don't like the look of the model in the first place, why would you buy it, right? And building model kits, especially Bandai model kits, are pretty easy when you build carefully and use the proper tools. But disregarding looks, and if you want me to give you actual recommendations, I'd objectively tell you to get the RX-78 entry grade box version, not the one with the plastic bag, since this is now the de facto Bandai pla modeling experience nowadays. And it's already almost perfect other than minor things that only hardcore modelers would only bother fixing. It's cheap too, clocking at only or at below $10. And here's a bunch of other recommendations I would give you if you asked me what other models would I recommend for beginners. And since I left you for last, it actually won. Yes, Robbie, and I'll just contact you later in the day probably, as this video goes live. And yeah, I would still like to answer a few questions outside of this video, and these questions seems to come out a lot, so I'll answer them now. I was kind of surprised that this didn't appear in the video I asked you guys to ask questions, but I will answer it anyway. Where do I get these model kits? Specifically my bootleg ones? There's this local shop that I regularly get these model kits from. Why I say that generic line is that because these are still bootlegs. And I don't really want the shop to get into trouble because I got these from them. So yeah, I just don't want any trouble. What I want is to provide you guys information about the things I'm interested in and maybe add some commentary here and there. Now I have some questions for you. Since I'm going to be here for a while, how about something to call me? A nickname of sorts like the Professor from Tolarian Community College. I would love to hear suggestions down below. And also, should I start a Patreon or a Ko-fi? Since I see those being used frequently by YouTubers to fund their channels. Any comment on this would be very much appreciated. I would love to know if anyone is interested in supporting this channel through Patreon or Ko-fi. Was it? Yeah. So yeah, that's about it. And Robbie won. And thank you for commenting on the previous video. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for 1K subs. And thank you for watching this video. Next up is the Hunting Falcon from Supernova. See you then!